Hello everybody, Michael Strickland again, doing another one of these first-person videos. Again, I'm pretty new to these, so be gentle on me. So just a quick recap for those unfamiliar. I was the video news journalist who was out in the streets covering a protest on July 7th, 2016, when I was attacked by a mob of thugs with masks over their faces and sticks in hand, and they chased me up the block as I was trying to retreat. And I eventually drew my firearm in self-defense on them. And when the police finally showed up, I was the one arrested, charged with crimes, eventually found guilty. Well, the mob of thugs who started the fight are considered to be the innocent victims. And so I'm doing this series to tell my story and clarify some things and go into some of the details. As those who have been paying attention to the case may be aware of the First Amendment restrictions that were placed on me. Now, when I was bailed out of jail, again, that's thanks to Kevin Starrett with Oregon Firearms Federation and Lars Larson for helping get the word out about that, so we were able to raise funds to get me bailed out. I have another video that deals with how that happened. So I was bailed out, and then I had to see what they call a pretrial release officer. And her name was Chelsea Fonua, and so I met with her. And there's standard conditions of a pretrial release, which are similar to conditions of being on probation. But then they can also impose extra restrictions on someone. And what Chelsea Fonua did with me is she told me that I could not post any videos on YouTube, I could not go on Twitter, I could not talk to the media, I could not blog, and I was banned from going to political events. So while all these people are freaking out about Trump's attacks on the media, I'm not sure if Trump has ever threatened to imprison a member of the media for doing their job. I was threatened with that. Had I violated those orders, I would have been tossed back in jail, and the $25,000 that was put down for me on bail would have been forfeited. So I was literally, legally banned from the First Amendment. And as things progressed, we had the trial. Judge Thomas Ryan found me guilty on 21 charges in total. And then on May 3rd of 2017 was the sentencing, the judgment. And that's where Judge Thomas Ryan sort of changed a few things, modified that. At first, I'm not sure if he may have read something wrong in what Chelsea Fonua had written or what the DAs had written. The DAs were arguing for all those restrictions to stay in place. Now, at that time, I was not banned from filming weddings, filming corporate events, things like that. That's what I was doing to make a little bit of money. So I was able to do all of that during that time span. So what the judge did on May 3rd, 2017 is he imposed a general rule that I could not film any person until July 1st or January 1st of 2018, so into the next year, and only then with express permission from my probation officer, because I was sentenced to 3 years of probation. And so, of course, my attorneys are arguing that right away, that this is a blatant violation of my First Amendment rights to free speech, freedom of the press, and the judge and DAs were arguing that, because I had been convicted, I now give up those rights. So, but I was then lifted from I was then able to blog, go on Twitter, post on YouTube, talk to the media, go to political events. I could do all of those things, but I could not film any person. I could film objects, I could film animals, I could film landscapes. So we had a follow-up hearing about 5 weeks later. I believe that was June 7th or 9th of 2017. And the judge lifted several of the things. He said that he wasn't quite sure how to word his judgment exactly in all of this. So he just did a blanket ban on me filming people. So what we were able to get then, at least we were able to get something back, and that is I was automatically then approved to film weddings, corporate events, family events, online ads for businesses and nonprofits, religious events, if I didn't say that, and maybe one or two other things that I was automatically allowed to film without having to get permission. And then the judge ruled that I am explicitly banned from filming political events, filming anything at Portland State University or Portland Community College, filming anywhere where I'm told to leave, and filming anyone who tells me to not film them. And anything that falls in between what I've been pre-approved to do versus what I'm expressly prohibited from, I need to get permission from the probation officer to do. So as time went on during that, the probation officers have been giving me a little bit more leeway, and I'm thankful for that. Again, they're dealt with what the judge orders. They can't change what the judgment was on things. So right now the probation officers are mainly just concerned with me not doing anything that falls into the things that I'm expressly prohibited from. Like I've asked them several times about doing, other video-related things, and they don't care for the most part. So I'm thankful for that I've gotten some leeway. One of the interesting things was that they, at one point, were going to try to get me banned from all that other stuff again, from posting videos onto YouTube. Because, now this is when I was in Columbia County. I was there for a few months, staying with someone who was helping me get everything back together in my life. So Kenneth Border, the probation officer for me there in Columbia County, he had called me because I had posted a video that someone else had filmed, and I was doing some commentary analysis of the video of Benjamin Carenza, who's the guy who led the mob to attack me, of the same guy trying to get the mob to attack another video journalist in the street at a different event. And so I posted a video about that went into, I analyzed the other video. It was posted by Nate Millsap on the channel Stumptown Matters, where Benjamin Carenza, the same guy who led the mob to attack me, who's got a very lengthy criminal history, he's trying to get the mob to attack another news videographer on the streets. And so I went into a deep analysis into this video. So I get a call from Ken Border then, at that point. He's trying to claim that this is a violation of my orders. He's trying to claim that I was there at this thing filming. I'm like, no, I used someone else's video. I was not at that event. I know better than to go into something like that. It was a dueling protest between the pro-Trump people and the Antifa people. So then he's trying to say, well, isn't this having contact with your victims? Because they consider Carenza the victim, even though he was the one who instigated the fight. I'm like, no, I'm not having contact with him. I don't want to have contact with him. In fact, I'm encouraging people to avoid contact with him because of his violent and dangerous ways. Because I'd hate to see anybody else end up forced to defend themselves like I have, and to end up in the same situation that I've ended up in. So then Ken Border's trying to say, well, isn't this harassing the victims? I'm like, no, again, I'm only trying to make sure that the public is aware of how dangerous and violent this guy is. For example, one of the things that came up a few times during my trial was prior knowledge. If somebody has prior knowledge of someone or something, and since Carenza has this habit of attacking people in the streets, be it video news journalists or other activists, the more people are aware of that, the more justified someone's going to be should they end up in a situation like I was in where I had to defend myself. So again, this video is not intended to be harassing towards Carenza or encouraging anybody to have contact with him. I just want to make sure people are aware of the situation. So to wrap this up here, it's just interesting how people like Jim Acosta and all these other people in the media are just so fearful about Trump attacking the media, whereas me personally, I have been imprisoned because of the First Amendment, because of exercising my First Amendment rights. I have had people attack me in the streets because of that. I have had courts and judges literally legally ban me from engaging in First Amendment activities. I have been threatened with further imprisonment for engaging in First Amendment activities. So again, I continue to fight my case. I will continue to fight it as long as I need to until it's eventually overturned. The First Amendment aspect is certainly one of the things that we are challenging in the appeal, and as this thing progresses through the thing. Thank you, everybody, for your support, and hopefully this whole thing will be over pretty soon and I can get on with life. Thank you very much.